Welcome back, Tribe. Got a video here from Jogo Wonder. Somebody sent this to me on email. It says the divide of men and women in the West. Let's get into it.
I went down a rabbit hole watching social media for the last 2 days. Haven't really done much other than just, relaxing, enjoying the time here in the Philippines. But I love to watch anything about conspiracy theories and things like that, history. And I got to watching several different things that led me to make this video. But I watched, it was like a little documentary about the fall of nations. And it was talking about, one of them was talking about Persia, Greece. These were probably separate ones because I watched a bunch. Rome, of course, the fall of Rome. And I seen a couple little videos where it was talking about the similarities now with the United States. And they were talking about how it seems to repeat itself every so often. And the similarities of how these empires fail. Not all of them came to an end because of a bigger, stronger army coming in to take them over. Most of them, even the ones that happened to, there was a lot of infighting that divided the country before that happened. Which any of you guys that's ever read or heard about the art of war, divide and conquer, that's where that comes from. And it makes it a lot easier for an invading force if the people of that nation are already divided before they get there.
Talk to me.
Anyway, I said all that to say this. The similarities for the United States is crazy. Well, all Western nations right now are experiencing the things that I'm about to talk about. But I know more about the United States because I was there. And what I'm talking about is the breakdown of the nuclear family. And don't take off, ladies. Somehow or another, just the word nuclear family somehow has become like a dirty word.
Propaganda.
And me being in the Philippines, it's like the most important thing in this country. And I see so much happiness versus when I was at home, there's so much misery. And, it could be, just the way that I view things, maybe, but I don't think so because I don't see all of the crazy stuff that I've seen. Like if you go outside of your house in America, even in North Carolina, which is considered probably one of the better places to stay with, less population, less crime, more poverty, but still, it seems like there's a lot of nice people there. I love my state of North Carolina, and I love my country. But one of the things that comes to my mind more so than anything else is like I understand that there's division upon the political spectrums of left and right and all that stuff. I mean, you're going to have differences of opinion politically, always. Used to, it didn't define our population. I remember people not even telling you who they vote for, like even a husband and wife. They just wouldn't talk about it. You didn't talk about politics or religion. You had your own views, you kept them to yourself and be friendly with everybody. But
it's a bit strange.
The division now in America that I believe...
That already sounds very Western. Like here in Eastern Europe, basically, you vote as a unit. So whatever the man's voting for, the woman's on board. There's no, I'm going to sit across the dinner table from my missus and, who'd you vote for, honey? Oh, let's not talk about that because clearly I voted for more liberal policies to have more invaders come here and rape our daughters. Like, yeah. We don't need to talk about that. Totally, honey. Just eat your green beans. What the fuck? What are you talking about? That's like, I try to tell this to a lot of guys that I talk to, especially in the private communities. You don't understand how far left America has moved, that even conservatives in America seem liberal in the rest of the world. And they're like, base, we're so fucking base, nuclear family. And just like he said, in the rest of the world, it's like, what are you talking about? That's standard. You're hardly conservative. It's just when you're in the thick of it, when the Overton window shift over the past like 40 years has been so dramatic to the fact that anything center is radically liberal compared to more conservative, traditional parts of the world. Like a center-right American is far more liberal than you would ever imagine until you travel and you see it for yourself and you'll be shocked. Like women cooking and cleaning, normal. Taking care of their man, normal. Wanting to have babies, wanting the man to lead in the household, normal. Voting as a unit. Like a woman's not even concerned with voting. What are you talking about, voting? I'm busy watching my kids. I don't give a shit what fucking moron is parading himself on TV like a clown. Voting, my man can deal with that. I have my family, my kids. I need to take care of my man. It's so, like, just that part alone of, like, a woman being political. Just cringy as fuck. No offense. You got more important shit to do than, I don't know, vote for more liberal policies to make life harder for yourself, like men and women's sports, invaders openly coming into the country, pouring in by the millions because you want to give them handouts and all this. Like, whoa, the bleeding heart liberal. We can fix the world. We can save everybody. No, go have kids. Get out of politics. Clearly, you don't know how to vote correctly because you were given the vote and then we slid into ultra liberalism and then voila, welcome. We're here today where we have a ton of problems. Government can't fix them. We're essentially paralyzed by DEI. Nothing works anymore. We've turned into like a very feminine caricature of what a democracy. I mean, you can call democracy feminine in general, but it's this race to save face. Like, we can't tell the truth. We can't say, oh, you didn't succeed because you're stupid. Oh, you didn't succeed because the system didn't let you succeed. Because what's in between your legs or the color of your skin or, oh, this guy's just really dumb. It's not that part. No, 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 no. We need to raise the people up. We're not all born with the same abilities. Not everybody's going to be a fucking rocket engineer. That's the truth. Not everyone's going to be a doctor. We have to tell people the truth, but we can't because the way women work socially is they lie to each other through compliments. So we have this system where society, our democracy, has turned into a cat club, a social macrocosm of the microcosm that is female dynamics. That's what it is. We have a female dynamically led social system. And this is why everything's crumbling.
In my opinion, it's probably going to, it seems to be crippling the West, is the division of men and women. There's no reason anymore. And the young men, I think, have figured it out. Like, I come from the generation, maybe the last generation, that really seen that, marriage as an option, like a good option. You find a beautiful wife, that is loyal and honest and respectful.
That shit's over.
And you want to have children with her and raise kids with her. They called it the American dream. You want to marry her and, be the best husband you can be and all that stuff. That was the dream anyway. I didn't always live up to that standard, and none of us are capable. Well, I guess we are capable, but most of the time there's got to be a lot of forgiveness. Relationships are hard, and I should be somewhat of an expert on that. I made it 30 years. It came to an end, but it's kind of, she initiated it, but it was kind of mutual. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Our kids were raised, they're grown, their kids of their own. But what I'm saying now is I was looking at these, after doing this for 2 days and looking at all the stuff on social media, it got me to thinking, like, holy cow, I seen something about the population decline. And they were saying that in the U.S., each woman, each United States citizen, female, needs to have 2.1 children just to sustain the country. And we're down to 1.6. And some nations like South Korea, they're already at 0.07. They're like supposedly beyond the point of return, unless they somehow bring in an influx of immigration that has the same views and values.
No, you can't bring in immigration that has the same views or values unless they're of the same tribe from you. That's just the brutal truth, because people form parallel societies. If you bring people in mass, they don't have enough time to assimilate. Even then, there's differences. We're very tribal. Skin color is one of them. You hang out with your own. We do this when we're babies. People don't want to talk about this stuff and say it out loud. But this is why even today, America's got black neighborhoods, white neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, Asian neighborhoods. And even then, we got gay neighborhoods. So you could be in liberal neighborhoods, conservative neighborhoods. This is what we do. We split each other into little tribes. It's part of the human condition. You can't beat it out of somebody. It starts when you're a baby. But it's not popular to say out loud. So, okay. So we can't bring people in. America's birth rate is only at replacement because of mass amounts of immigration. When you look at the native born birth rate, it's below 2. It's 1 point something. So no, none of the natives in the Western world and even the Far East, Asia, Japan, South Korea, there seems to be a problem when a economy develops to the point where corporations get this sort of power that is all encompassing, where they pick the rulers, they donate money, they institute laws and frameworks of a business environment that's super advantageous for them while the little guy struggles, right? Your workers' rights gone to shit. You don't get to unionize anymore. They'll fire you. They're keeping you on part-time work. Almost nobody's full-time benefits have disappeared. You're in a gig economy. This is all advantageous to corporations, especially multinational. They even move their headquarters overseas, somewhere like Ireland, for example, or another tax haven where they get to pay less taxes. Oh, and this is the same thing. South Korea, ironically, I've talked about this before, is the worst because they're the most advanced in terms of the corporate dystopia. I guess you can call that real fascism in a sense. If you want to consider fascism the merger of corporation and state, then South Korea is the furthest along. They have 3, 4 corporations that run their entire economy. That's how concentrated that shit is. And if you don't get hired at those big 4 or whatever they are, you're done for. You're considered a loser in society. Quite literally, it is your social ladder, a corporation, not your way of life, not going to school to get educated, hired by a company. Can you imagine that? Because we're headed there. A bunch of our companies are consolidating also. I hear Blackstone or BlackRock is now investing in the energy grid. They're buying a bunch of electrical generation companies. A bunch of electrical companies are now going to be owned by private equity. They own your houses. Soon they will own your electricity. Further, everything is consolidating. You see, piece of the state, the empire, is being sold off to private interests. Do you think those private interests care about you? Do you think there's ever been a time in fucking history where private interests have come in, have taken public interests, or you could say public resources, utilities, and somehow it got better under the private interest? You think they still serve the people? We are going to usher in an era very soon of massive destabilization where people will not have enough. They're going to buy, truly, the meme of buying a burger on 4 payment plans of fucking Klarna or whatever it is going to be true. Pay in 4 installments, bro, to get your burrito from Chipotle. It will happen. The dollar is going to keep getting debased. We have raised the debt ceiling again. We are not going to grow our way out of a debt-based economy. We are going to accumulate more debt. Assets will continue to go up. This will make dating much harder. Men and women are going to keep becoming more isolated. Simply the unaffordability of dating alone. This is why we're seeing harems develop with, quote, chads, high-value males. Those especially with a lot of money. Not just good looks for reproduction, but deep pockets for maintaining a harem. Elon style, or Elon Musk style, right? That dude just drops a seed in a chick, pays her a couple milli, gives her a monthly stipend, F off from my life. I got other shit to do. And women are okay with that. There are women lining up. If he made a post on X, there will be a million women, millions lining up to get pregnant and have their lives taken care of. They will gladly be single mothers with Elon footing the bill, never even showing up for one day, besides to pump and dump. This is the human condition. And because we no longer have the nuclear families, because the economics are starting to get messed up, and the social engineering from our deep state, CIA and all that stuff with feminism and all that, you have essentially the seeds, the fruits of that labor that was seeded years ago. I don't know. I could drone on and on. I don't want to get too off topic with all this stuff. We'll let the man speak.
That they do, it's that country's doomed, because there's not, eventually you're going to have more old people than young people. And if you have more old people that can't work, even if they have wealth, there's no one to pay to take care of them because there's not enough. And that's the case for a lot of countries right now.
But okay, fine. So anyways, I'll end it. I'll end it with this and then let the man speak for a little bit. If we do not separate the corporation from the state, just like we did church and state before, we are going to end up in a tyrannical dystopia that you could not imagine. It'll be way worse than 1984, than Animal Farm, than A Brave New World, all of these. It'll be all of it wrapped up and worse with the advent of AI. Every piece of you will be scrutinized instantaneously in a database, forever tracked. Digital ID Act, CBDCs, unifying everything with Palantir, all our private information. Yes, totally. Bring it on. As if they're not showing you that they're trying to do this already.
Especially in the Western world. And it might be just something that's a natural occurrence after a nation obtains a certain amount of wealth. The nuclear family starts to decline because it seems to be true that the women seem to start to fade away from the idea of having.
Why? Nobody asked why women fade away from this idea. Because they're socially engineered to hate men in the West. Notice it's only in the West. There's other places that have developed societies. Japan, women don't hate men there. China, women don't actually hate the men there. They're very demanding, sure, dowry and all that stuff, but the pure unadulterated hate that women have for men, or I should say radical feminists, or the radical element of progressives or liberals, whatever, that's not existent in anywhere else in the world, except in this society specifically. It's an engineered ideology that was helped to be ushered in by the CIA and other sources of special interest for obvious reasons. Gain at your expense, your loss. Now, some women started waking up to this and reading into the history of all these things and seeing that they ended up getting the short end of the stick. Although in hindsight, or at least in the moment while they were getting all these rights and sexual empowerment and, I'm more than just my body or my body, my choice and all these other things that came down the pipeline, they're starting to see that actually you ended up with less than what your predecessors had. Your grandmother's life was better. Your mother's life was better. Your life is exponentially worse. You're forced to work like a man. You're forced to go and pay taxes, to be left with pennies, to go sit in traffic, to deal with a boss that's most likely a man, or if not worse, a catty woman that doesn't respect the work that you do anyways. You're a number to clock in and clock out, just like most men have been for the longest time in this style of an economy. Now the women get to participate. This is why women poll more unhappier than they've ever polled ever before. You have no children. You collect cats and other trinkets to stay happy. You drink yourselves to sleep practically with wine nights every fucking night. And you can't even afford the good shit. It has to be boxed. That's how fucking broke you are. You have nothing. You beg men to take you out on dates. Even if the men are begging, you basically have to go on a date with somebody to afford food because you don't want to spend your little money that you do have. So you have to entertain chuds that you don't even care about so a bitch can eat. You're winning, your cats, and your take home, maybe blowing the guy in the fucking parking lot as a thank you or something, and your boxed wine, and this is progress. All to have your job replaced in like 5 to 10 years by fucking robot. Unbelievable, bro. They never once they sit there and think, did we do the right thing? Should we go back to a simpler time in terms of letting men lead, in terms of being in our real feminine? When they say in my feminine, what they're really saying is being like great grandma, being traditional, worrying about the kids and the husband. Let the man take care of the rest, deal with the rest of the stress, fight the world while you maintain the household. We had that system work for hundreds of thousands of years.
One man and having children with it. And whenever you have the government that's incentivizing women to kind of not be good marriage material, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I mean, everybody knows, you've seen it all over social media, and I've checked the stats on it, and that's what the stats say, at least on the internet, so it must be true. Women initiate 80% of the divorces in the United States. In the United States are being raised by single-parent households. I'm not saying that both parents aren't involved in that child's life. I'm just saying they live with one or the other parent. And in that scenario, those kids that are males being raised by single women are pretty much giving up. and they're not doing well academically. They're more apt to have mental disorders, social problems. Yeah. And less likely to, for whatever reason, get into a relationship with a woman in the future.
Hey, you were raised by a single mother. You don't think that bears some resentment in your childhood, being yelled at, saying you're just like your daddy, you're good for nothing, do this, do that, or leeches on you in a very toxic manner, the like devouring mother kind of thing, turns you into her husband essentially, never lets you leave the house, always fixing your mistakes, always dependent on you, just psychological torture. And you think those guys coming out of those like predatory single mother households would want to do pretty much the exact thing you would expect them to do, which is avoid women at all costs because their mothers were living nightmares. Totally, bro.
One that was talking about, they did a survey, and this was with Gen Z. And so this is kids, well, not kids anymore, but these are people under 30. And 63% of the males are single, and only 32% of the females are claiming to be single. But out of the 63% of the boys, 50% of them say that they're not even interested in ever being married or ever having children at all.
30% are virgins.
Which made me start asking, okay, all right, these are what we would call, from my generation, fighting age men. Where's their incentive? Where is their incentive, and what is making them like this? Like what makes them decide? I mean, they said that most of them aren't even engaging into sex or anything. They're not interested in it at all. Like, they're done. And so I started doing a little bit of research because I watched this documentary originally. All this started 2 days ago. And yesterday, or this morning and yesterday evening, I was doing a lot of research, just checking on some things, trying to tie some things together to make this video. and I pretty much looked at so many things. I don't know which, you look at enough on the internet, you'll get both sides to the story, and some of it will get a little bit of twisted and get confusing. But some of the things I agree with that can't be denied. This is for instance, trying to collect my thoughts here. But children have become weapons, or they've been weaponized for women in the West because of the court systems, for child support mainly. But not just child support for children, but there's also federal and state benefits that can be obtained for the parent who gets the children, which is 80% of the time the female gets the children, unless the guy really spends a lot of money and fights to get that child. And everybody knows, that you've heard it 1,000 times, but my body, my choice. The woman can either choose not to have that child and, do the unthinkable, and the man has no say whatsoever over that. But if she decides that she wants to have that child, the man also has no say. He's going to pay for 18 years, no matter what. And this is so mainstream now. It's so talked about on social media to where Gen Z has heard it loud and clear. They grew up with social media. Not only have 80% of them been raised by single mothers, they've been sitting at the kitchen table listening to those single mothers talk about the thing about men that they do like, the thing about men that they don't like, and they're actually seeing what the mom brings home versus what their mom is telling them to be like. I seen one little video where this kid, he's probably 13, 14 years old, and the mom's yelling at him, "You should be a better man than that, blah, blah, blah. You should do this and you should do that.
Yep.
Or no woman's going to have you." And he shouts back at his mom. He's like, "Well, that's not who you bring home." And she, naturally it shut her up because she's realized he's right. And it's almost as if women just think that men are easily manipulated, which we have been, but we kind of was willing to do it because of the benefits, the benefits that it came with. Sometimes, you love the woman so much. Most men, I believe men have true love. I mean, we're willing to, most of the time, die for our families and, protect our wives with our lives, even when they don't have children. That's just, it's almost like natural. It's like something that we agree upon, an unwritten rule or something. But it's gotten to the point now for a couple decades to where that same woman that you're willing to die for don't mind threatening your future. "I'll leave you, I'll take half of your stuff. I'll leave you and you can pay me alimony and child support." Without hesitation. Now this man is up against a force that he cannot defeat. There's no way to defeat the court system, And what I've realized after the little bit of research that I've done, a lot of men aren't even trying because of that. There's no incentive. Like there's no, ambition is a dying thing amongst Western men, not just in the United States, but all over the West. Ambition there's almost no point to it, because the only thing that ambition can get you right now is you can upgrade whatever that guy as a young man sees as a more valuable woman. The more money you get, you can get what women would consider a more valuable woman. Not morally, just looks. Nothing more, just looks.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched all these videos with women or people on the street asking like, hey, what do you want from a man? Of course, 6 foot, 6 figures, all this crazy stuff. Must be this, must be like that, And then the same interviewer will be like, well, what are you going to provide him? "Oh, me, all this." What is that,
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding, because the research on the dating apps, so what was it, 80% of the women go for the top 10% of the men. And then those same 80% of the women expect that one of those top 10% men are going to have them. They would be crazy to accept any woman. Why would they? Your manipulation ain't going to be as good as the cumulative. They're screwing 80% of the people that's on that same dating app. They've heard it all. They've heard every manipulation story. They've heard that "I'll never leave you, I'll never cheat on you." They've got women buying them gifts, telling them how much money they make. And just for the record, ladies, if you're still watching, hopefully you are, I don't think there's a man on earth that cares how much money you make. Whether you work at Mickey D's or Goldman Sachs, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. Millionaire or you got food stamps. If you're a good woman, you're a good woman. Period. Men and women are so different. And it's almost like we watch different social media, because you hear the men saying the same thing. And there's a few women too. There's a few women that's men's rights advocates, I guess you would say. But you hear them saying it, but it's almost like the women have just went deaf. They went deaf to what men expect or want. Men, we value purity. All men, no matter what. I'm 50 years old and I still value that. I'm not really looking for a girlfriend. I don't care how pure she is. And I think me and Gen Z have something in common, but I've already had the long marriage. But I find it a little intriguing that each year younger, like if you go the people that are 30 now, and then you count backwards, 29, 28, blah, 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 you get on down to 18, the number gets higher of the count of men that are saying that they never want children and they never want to be married. Like if you go all the way down to 18, it's something like 87% or something. And this was like a first year freshman college year that they did some kind of Pew Research study to where they had asked all these 18-year-old boys, and it was 87% said, no, I don't want kids ever. I never want to be married. And I can't help but think about the other research that I did as far as the statistics go. 80% of them were probably raised by a single female. Not saying that those two things correlate, but I don't know how they couldn't. I don't have any proof to that, but it's highly probable that that's the case, whether the ladies realize it or not.
And they still, dude, vote against their interests. They still think they're making the right decision. They still think being strong and independent is a flex. That's what's sad. That's the saddest part in all of this. Willingly destroying yourself for what? We're living in a mouse utopia experiment. A scientist in the 70s created the perfect home for mice, and its population exploded and then completely collapsed. The female mice became overly aggressive, hypersexual, and couldn't keep the baby mice safe. The male mice became homosexual and lazy. The mice never recovered and the population went completely extinct. The leftover mice couldn't assimilate with normal mice. The scientists called it behavioral sync. There's something in nature that doesn't allow a utopia to exist. It always ends in catastrophic collapse. We covered that video, by the way. If you search on the top bar of the channel, Mouse Utopia, we go through, I think it's like a 40-minute video or something. It was very interesting watching that. Anyways, as usual, boys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that's been getting the hats. Really appreciate it. They've been selling like hotcakes. Super fire. Be careful wearing the red one, especially because it looks like the MAGA hat. And depending on where you live, I've already read a couple emails of people getting some nasty comments for wearing the hat until they turn around and read it. And even then, the fact that it says masculinity on the hat still pisses people off once they do a double take. So be careful. Just saying, we do live in very crazy times, but I do appreciate those that show support, get it. We have a bunch of other stuff too, mugs, Hoflation mugs, bug sandwich shirts, all the good stuff. So thank you guys. And as usual, catch you next time.